Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here, and I just got back from a very good sized walk. I had to pay off some bills, so decided to go out and take care of that real fast. And now I'm back, and ended up getting contacted by a brother of mine, a friend and brother, a Luciferian brother who lives down in Mexico, and he was telling me about his latest endeavors, and it's kind of interesting because of the fact that when you think about it, anytime you work with spirits, there is a trial period. This is this is something we all go through. I mean, a lot of spirits will be right there in your face, yeah, I'll help you, and then you get nothing, right? Well, what about those few spirits that were meant for you or that want to work with you, especially if you open yourselves up to them? So, my brother and I were just spending a few minutes, just chit chatting, via Messenger. And he recently lost one of his familiars and ended up getting a new one, a very beautiful animal, I might say. A nice little kitty. And yes, I'm a cat person. I like cats, but I also like dogs and snakes. But my point is that when you work with spirits such as King Paimon, yeah, he can be used, he can be called forth and manifested for numerous different applications, specifically that of persuasion. Just like Belial can bestow upon you, say, for an example, senatorships, ambassadorships, and some form of titles. You know, Boleth is more of a corrupter. He's more of the type of influencer that can really influence the hearts and minds. So, I mean, in my brother's case, he was working with Bastet, a goddess out of the Egyptian mythology and pantheon, and on top of that, he started working with Paimon, and he's been getting great results, which is awesome. Very, very awesome to see. And I mentioned to him that I recently started, working with some new entities myself. Because of the fact that for the last 19 months, I have been working with the Blighton and demonology, and I recently scrubbed. I literally just rearranged my altar room out of the blue and cleaned up the walls and everything. Got rid of all the soot and the ash and or at least most of it, anyways. It's very tiring work, especially when you haven't cleaned your altar room in like 10 years. But my point is this: it's I started working with Satan and Asmodeus, Asmodee, over the last couple of weeks, you know, alongside the Blighton. And I found it very interesting that a lot of things have been fruitful for me, beneficial even. And I never really stopped to think about it and to, go over it, about what's been transpiring, how it's been transpiring. You know, the foresight of losing one's job and then all of a sudden getting a new one, on a full time basis within a matter of a week time, you know, or say for an example, being on good terms with the assistant store manager, district manager, and owner of the franchise. Okay, that's something that is a blessing and something that's actually good. And on top of that, you look at where you were before. I spent over 20 years alone. Okay, I didn't. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a family of my own or anything up until recently. So it was kind of interesting to look back and to see how these spirits, the demons, really help you out. Okay. And I personally think that about 10 years ago when I was in Tucson is where it literally started turning for me. So, I mean, having faith and trust with the spirit is something that's very beneficial, not only just for the spirit and what they reveal to you and what they show you, not just the fruitful benefits that they give you, okay, for being in their corner and to work with them and to, spread their word, you know, but it's more of the fact that when you build up that relationship and trust, it's that mutually beneficial relationship. And I was reminded of this while I was talking to my brother, my friend. Now, in the last 3 to 4 years, got a girlfriend, had a son. I have three familiars, three, okay, that like my altar room. One of which stays away from my chalice now. Yeah, she won't be drinking anything from there anymore. Not after having Mexican tequila. But my point is this, is that when we work with spirits, they will bring us things. Like, say for an example, people who will introduce you, a friend of a friend type thing, or say for an example, things that are fruitful and beneficial to you. You know, the combination of Paimon and Bastet is something that was good because of the fact that Paimon is great for persuasion of the mind. Okay, not just for legal matters or personalized matters, not even corporate matters. Okay, but you can even, I suppose, you could actually do this with your better half, or to say allow you to keep a familiar or get something. You know, which is what he did. And then you have on top of that the fact that Bastet is known as the goddess of cats. Okay, cats are the guardians of the underworld, which is very very fascinating in itself. So in this case, when we look at this, these two go hand in hand. Number one, they lost a familiar, but they gained one, suggesting to the family life, just like any one of us would do with any given situation. And there's that trial in that time period of adjustment, especially with changes. And the and when I look back at my own personal life and I see all the changes over the last, say, 8 to 10 years, there's a lot of doozies. And a lot of those are because I've placed my trust in spirits and I've let go of ego and popularity. You know, these are things that won't benefit you as a mage or a sage. It's not going to benefit you as a witch or a warlock. It is something that will hold you down like an anchor. And if you're constantly going against the spirit's wishes, not listening to them, then not going to be inclined to even help you, to guide you, or not to mention bestowing a familiar upon you. Okay, and it's interesting to see, even if they don't manifest in your altar room, there's always signs that point to the direction of where they came from. I mean, when you're at work and all of a sudden the number 666 comes up and people are freaking out, they want to add things to their order or or remove something from their order just because they're so superstitious about the number 666, or 66 for that matter. You know, there's a lot that goes into this. And a lot of it is about sacrificing time and energy. A lot of it is spending a lot of time in your altar room, out in nature. If you're a necromancer, you're going to want to hang out at the crossroads, graveyards, forests, natural, religious, you know, energetic current sections like the crossroads, which are ideal for demonic pacts. Perhaps hanging out and communing with the spirits of a graveyard, or perhaps even, let's say, for an example, walking down by the beach, walking along a riverbank, or say, for an example, going to the ocean, same thing. It's energetic currents, and it's a great way to establish links with spirits. More so when you make contact, it's best not to break or to damage the relationship that you have. More so when we look at spirits, like I said in my last video, I was working with the demonic. I was working with the blighting, and out of the blue, Papa Gadi, okay, pops into my vision. He pops in and gives me a vision. He introduces himself to me. This is Haitian Voodoo. Okay, so I mean, they're gonna bring in those that are gonna benefit you. Beneficial relationships that will benefit you in the long run. But you got to be open to it. You got to be, you know, aware of what's going on and willing to work with them. What's that old expression? You don't know where another's coming from unless you walk a mile in their shoes. Same thing. But think of it this way. Think of it as your own personal relationship with, say, your better half, except for working with spirits. How far are you willing to go? Are you willing to meet them halfway, to make compromises? Same thing. You got to make compromises, and you got to be willing to meet them halfway. Otherwise, why bother? It's not called a mutual beneficial relationship for nothing. Think about that for just a moment. Just think about it for just a moment, because I want to get real with you here. I got a lot of people coming to me through Facebook, through social media. I've even got people that come on here and think it's all a joke, and that they can, let's say, for an example, I got this one guy. He's done this on a few of my videos. He just posts links. Now that those links turn out to be adult sites. Okay, this is stuff I don't want on my channels. Okay, because I'm not into the whole mundane thing. Okay, I could care less what people do in their free time with, say, going to porn shops or going to nightclubs, stuff like that. This is stuff that, this is a phase that I outgrew a while back. Okay. For me, it's about higher education. It's about learning. It's about, spiritual growth, evolution. Okay. Working with the spirits to benefit not just their will, but my own. Okay. And that of my families. But I've got people coming to me on Facebook and in my Facebook things, and they want monetary gain. They want tired of living in poverty, and it's like, have you not considered working with spirits? I mean, number one, you're from. Hey, Holly, welcome to the channel. Number one, you live in Ghana. Okay, you live in Africa. You've got numerous different spirits that you can work with, that you can call upon. Papa Legba is great to open the portals and the gates to other deities that will be beneficial to you. Okay. You got various different systems of just voodoo alone. The Loa, okay. The Ugan, even, okay. Depending on, a lot of people live in either Ghana, um, Malawi, Ethiopia, Congo, South Africa, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I get the fact that this is a heavily JCI influenced area. Okay. And by JCI, that's Judo Christian Institutions. Okay. You got Islam, Judaism, and mainstream Christian views there. And you guys, I know a lot of your governments there don't have the religious tolerance that we have in here in the US. I get that. But I mean, when it comes to gaining beneficial results in your life, try working with some of these spirits. Look at the legends behind them. Look at what they represent, how they can represent something, what they represent for you. Okay? You have beings that deal with material gain, prosperity. Okay? You got, spiritual insights such as Papa Gedi and Baron Samedi. You even have, if you want to get into the pagan um, pantheon, you also have Anubis. You know, these are just lords of the dead. Being spirits who can benefit you with spiritual contact through numerous different faiths and religions. I mean, as a net practicing Satanist and necromancer, I can tell you that the last thing that I expected was for Satan, Asmodeus, or even the Blighton to bring in voodoo into my world. Okay, I practiced voodoo in the past, not seriously, but it's been there. I've done a lot of research into it, and I know a lot about it. But here's the thing: it wasn't a path at the time for me, and here we are, almost 6, 7 years later, and a voodoo Gadi member, a Loa, a minor Loa, you know, who was once a man, a physical practitioner up until I think it was like 1971, was considered to be the most powerful practitioner in Haiti. Okay, became a member of the Gadi family of Loa. Yes, they are considered to be, from what I can tell and from what I've researched thus far, they are lower level entities, much like what we classify as demons today, okay, within the JCI perspective. But before they were demonized, they were actually gods. And before they were gods, they were entities. Depending on where you are in the world, you probably heard them called by various different names. The Druids, or the gods, or even, say for an example, the Ugan, the Loa, or the Jinn, angelics, angels, demons, and such like that. Think about it for just a minute. Even the Devi are considered spirits that are both good and evil. The daemon is considered good and evil. Loas are considered good and evil, depending on their nature. They can be enraged by our actions. But at the same time, when we listen and we learn and we allow ourselves to do what they ask of us, it's plentiful when they give back as well. The more we put in for them, the more they give to us. And to see how my brother's life has turned around in such a short time is something that is very, very good. Okay. To see what these spirits have done in my life personally is awesome. I mean, I look at one of my other apprentices, and I see when he and I first met, I listened to what he was seeking and I recommended, you know, certain path workings that would benefit him. And here we are about 4 or 5 months later. He's still my apprentice. And most importantly, we talk just about daily and we do videos once a week. Okay. So I mean, the factor is here is that these people are doing the work themselves. Okay. They are literally going out, getting the material, okay, reading the material, practicing the material, applying it to their lives, just like any voodoo practitioner would, just like any mage or sage, druid, necromancer, satanist would do. The more you put in, the more you get out. You may be in a country where you or an area where you cannot get your hands on these books. Well, guess what? There's a little thing called Scribd. There's a little thing called Google. Okay, these two applications. I mean, Scribd alone has over 1,500 occultism books in PDF format that you can download to your laptop, your computer, and you can read it at any time. It only costs like, what was it? The last time I was on, it was like $7, I think, $8, $13, somewhere along there. Okay. Or you can go underneath Google and order it yourself. You know, type it in for a PDF version, download it right off Google. A lot of times you'll find them free. There's ways to, it'll even take you to like Amazon or eBay or Wish, maybe even Asogreen, there's a lot of different occult stores out there, metaphysical stores as they're referred to today, where you can literally get the material that you need. Now, you live in Ghana or you live in Malawi, you live in Johannesburg, Africa, the Congo region. Do you know how many practitioners live in these regions? I mean, just think about it. Real practitioners, Hugans, Hungans, and Membos. Okay, even the Bokor lives in these regions. Even Malawi. Why not get in touch with them? See what they can do for you. Apply yourself and open yourself up as an apprentice. If you're willing to teach me, I'm willing to open myself up and become your apprentice to learn your ways. Even working with spirits, it is a great approach for you to look at them and say, take me, I offer myself as your apprentice in exchange for your knowledge. It's a great place to start. Make a pact with them, a blood pact. Grow within that relationship with these spirits. And I guarantee it, you'll start seeing results in your life. But you have to let them lead you. You got to let them lead you. So many people today are brought up with my way or the highway mentality. It's all about ego. It's all about showmanship. It's all about money. Sages and mages don't get rich. We get enough to, we make enough to live comfortably, yes, but not to get rich. You will never see a rich mage or sage. You will not see a rich um, Satanist, necromancer, or anything else outside of what they make from, say, working in a mortuary or the medical community or even the funeral home directors, or grave diggers or whatever. This is not a path that we get into to get rich and famous. This is about spiritual growth and spiritual understanding, spiritual awakening. And that's what this is about. So, I mean, a lot of these individuals They think it's about the Illuminati and becoming rich and famous, or it's about this or that. Spirits won't help you if you have that mentality. If you're not willing to learn and grow, they won't teach you, they won't guide you. Zaniel from the Grimoire of Armadale is one of these said type spirits. Okay, he's known as the teacher of witchcraft. It took me 7 months to get him to even speak to me, to show himself to me. 7 months, because he wanted to see what I was willing to put in. What was I willing to do for him? Was I willing to try multiple different path workings? Was I willing to experiment with rituals, summonings, mantras, kundalini even? Was I willing to start at the top, the bottom, and work my way to the top to earn what he had to offer? Okay? And this is just about every spirit is the same way. The more you put in, the more you get out. All right? But I wanted to do this video just to show you, not only from my life, but also to, a brother's life and an apprentice's life, of how things can change for you if you put the time in, work with these spirits, and build up the relationships, especially if you are into ancestral lineage, like the African Caribbean traditions. Even Satanism has a hierarchy or a hereditary family lineage. Witchcraft is a hereditary family type lineage. Okay? It's passed down from parent to child. All forms of religious and spiritual communion is on that basis. And it's up to each and every single one of us to put ourselves out there and to humble ourselves enough to let these spirits in. If you're haughty, you're not going to get very far. If you're headstrong and you think you got it, the bull by the proverbial horns, you're not going to get very far. Every time somebody comes to me, I take it to the spirits. I take it to the altar. I go out and I commune and I talk to the spirits that I work with. And I put it in their hands. Say, is this something that's true? Is this someone who really earnestly wants to learn? Because I've had a lot of people come to me. They want me to teach, but they're not willing to do the work themselves. I will put the tasks forth, but they won't do the work. This is laziness, sloth. Exactly, Swamp. Exactly. Same with you, Holly. Exactly. I've been a practitioner for 30 years. I'm on my 31st year of practicing magic on these religious systems. I've studied many of them. I've walked many of them. My primary ones are necromancy and Satanism and Palo Mayombe. I love Palo Mayombe. I love the upbeatness of it, of the rhythm of the rituals, which is probably what attracted me to Haitian Voodoo over the last few months, getting back into that. So, yeah. And here I have a spirit from Haitian Voodoo, a Gadi family member, reaching out to me. Yeah, I got to go see what that's about, and I'm still doing research on that. So yeah, really put yourself out there and be earnest. But you got to remember, Swamp, that most of the occult community is only in it for show. It's all it is. It's a popularity thing. Who has the most numbers? Who has the most subscribers? Who can get the most videos or content out there? It's all about money, ego, and showmanship. You want a real practitioner? Look at those who don't do that stuff. I come out here, I do probably about 4 to 6 videos a week. Okay, just 4 to 6. 4 on my channel, and two for about 1 to 2 for Dark Sorcery. Okay, which is Alfredo Martinez's group. Okay, I've had people come to me and say, "Well, I'm their favorite." Me, Carrie Darkstar, and Uriel. Seems like we know what we're talking about. Well, yeah, but we've also got age and experience on what we've been doing. But it's not about popularity, it's not about ego, and it's definitely not about showmanship. It's about you as the individual and where you want to go. Where do you want to be? Are you willing to work with the spirits and work for it? If you are, awesome. No one's going to do the work for you. If you're willing to walk through those doors, spirits will open them. That's for damn sure. And I will tell you this from my own personal experiences. I've gone to the 9 Goetic Kings. I've worked with Moloch. I've worked with the Lord of the Witches, Satan, Asmodeus, Astaroth, Beelzebub, and a few others for a long time. I've had voodoo priests look at me and tell me that I have 5 very powerful demonic lords that walk beside me. I never really looked at it that way. I never really thought about it in terms of who's really walking with me here. You know, I go out, I study, I practice, I put the time in, I do the sacrificing, you know, I teach those who earnestly want to learn. And I can tell you that the last, since I've been online since 2013, 2014 area, I think it's been about, yeah, just about 8, almost 10 years worth of teaching online between YouTube and Facebook. A little bit, probably about a year's worth on Instagram up until I forgot my password. And then it's like, whatever. Not really big on technology, anyways. But my point is this: you want to learn from somebody, you want to see who the real mages and sages are. Look at those who aren't trying to blow smoke up your skirts. Okay? They're not sitting there trying to sell you a load of bullshit or BS, as Swamp put it, so colorfully put it over here. Okay? You definitely got to have a tough skin, definitely, Swamp, to do what we do. And the funny thing is that there's an old expression: we're not in this to be liked. We're not everybody's going to like you. So therefore, you know, the left-hand path is not the path for the faint of heart. And it's true. How many times I've just gotten to the point where I've got fed up and just wanted to walk away from it all. My better half, who's in the next room, will tell you that since she and I've been together, there's been twice where it's either I need a break or I'm ready to walk away. And then all of a sudden I'd clean my altar room, reconstruct everything. And I have this inkling, I gotta do something. And you know what? You take 1 step, 2 steps back, and you take a couple forward every single time. It's not an easy road. It's not an easy path. It's one that you have to constantly nourish, kind of like a child. Your path and your root working is your baby. It is. Raising a family at 41 years old, trust me, it's not easy. There's a lot of time I come home from work, he wants to play, and it's like, I'm tired, bub. Give me a little bit to recuperate and catch my breath. but I always make time for them. And that's something that you got to do. I mean, you may be hurting, you may be tired, exhausted, you may be broke, but you know what? You got to nourish it. You've got to put the time and effort in, and it will benefit you in the long run. All right. Now, I mean, the most that I do for people is I will give them references. I'll give them sources. Anytime I preach on something, I always give you references and sources for you to go out and to do things, with. You can actually take the time to read it, to get it, to buy it, or whatever. Add it to your own personal library. And it's up to you on what you want to do with that information. You can either accept what I say at face value, like about say 85% of the world, or you can do your own homework. It's the way I see it. All right. But for now, I'm gonna go get a bite to eat. It's been a long day and haven't had anything to eat all day. So, and it's now almost 4 p.m. in the afternoon. All right. So, hope all of you have a good day. You're welcome, Swamp. And thank you, Swamp and Holly, for coming on with me. All right. Have a good day.